As we extended particle class, we have all those properties and methods inherited by bubble class. But let's go and add properties which will belong to bubble class itself. I want my bubble to be able to fly up as it was shown before. So I will add a lift force, and it should be a vector object. For now I just set it to be object with x and y values equal to 0, just to show that. But we want to set the lift force after a bubble will be created. I'm going to add a method for that. The value will be an object of vector type. Next, I want to override update method. It will not break anything because update method doesn't do anything in superclass. Now we want our bubbles to have disappearing kind of effect. I will multiply delta by 0.99. It will reduce the alpha value and make this disappearing kind of effect. While alpha is being changed, we want to keep track of bubbles visibility. Let's add a getter function that will return a boolean value. In the case when alpha is less than 0.1, it means that the bubble is not visible. Let's go to index file and check if it works as expected. I will change the way of how we create new bubbles, but before that let's quickly go to our loop and add update method to each bubble. To check if the update method works and alpha is being changed, we can create only one bubble and check that. I am going copy and paste these lines, set temporary position and comment out this line. Now we can see our bubble is created and the disappearing animation works. Next, I'm going to add an if statement to check if a bubble is not visible. Then in this case we won't splice this bubble out of the array. Hit save and refresh the page. Seems that we missed something. Let's go to bubble class and check the getter method. Oh, it should be opposite. If alpha is greater than 0.1, it means that we can still see the bubble. It works. And if I will change the alpha to 0.5, you will see that the bubble is deleted and no longer being spawned. Let's change it back to 0.1. I am going back to index file and refactor our logic in draw function. Now you can see how we add all these bubbles and they are being removed afterwards. Okay, what about flying effect? Our position and lift force are vector objects, so we can use basic vector math and change the position. Force will cause the movement. I will say position.add lift force. But you see that we have no lift force set by this moment and it will trigger an error. Now let's go back to index file and set the lift force for every new bubble that will be created. I am going to create new variable for each bubble so I can access it afterwards. Push it to array of bubbles, set a lift force which will be a vector. First value is x component, but we don't want a bubble moving along the x-axis, so set it to 0. But we want it move along y-axis, so let's set it to -5. Let's hit save and check it. I want to add more beauty now. I will go ahead and extend draw method. To use superclass draw method, just use super keyword. It works as before. Next, I want to add stroke around the bubble. Hit save. Seems we have an error. It says that there is no such function. Let's check that. We have a typo here. I will fix it in other places too. Save all files and it should work. I will add a comment and then I will draw sun glare on the bubble. I just use a bubble's position and draw the sun glare with a little offset, which is equal to about a half of bubble's radius. Next, I want my stroke around the bubble depend on bubble's radius. It will be more flexible. I will add one more property for that and set it in draw method. To check that, I'm going to index file and set the radius to be a random value. Delete 20 and add math.random, multiply it by 100, so you can see what we have so far. I'm going to tweak some values. Along with that, I want to be able to make random values in the given range. For that, I will extend math object and add two more methods, which will allow me to generate random integers and random float values. I just googled that functions and copied them here. Let's jump back to index file and create separate function for creating new bubbles. Because when we will add more code, I don't want draw method be very overloaded. It should work the same. Next, I will add two lines of code that calculate new x and y locations. They are the same as before, we just add random offset. To make new bubbles appear in the random position but around the mouse location. If you want more explanation about how x and y values are calculated here, please leave a comment and I will reply. Also, I will change function for radius. I want a radius to be random but in the range between 20 and 60. The last what I want to add is shrinking kind of effect. I will add new property and call it shrinking speed. And to make it more flexible, it should depend on radius. Bubble radius will be reduced with this speed in update method. Hit save. Oops, we have an error. It is because we have a negative value of one of the properties we are reducing in update method. Let's add a check in the bubble. If the bubble is not visible, don't draw it. It will be removed the next step anyway. And let's change the value in getter method. We will track of the bubble's radius. If it is greater than 0, we consider it as visible. Let's check that. Okay, that is all. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like this video and share. As always, you can go to comment section below and find the link to the files and download them.